just the audio. So I started that night because
I think the team should be fine. Yeah.
we will have some kind of Teams thing happening.
Yeah.
I hope. What I'm going to do now is, can you guys join Teams through your phone?
Yes.
Join Teams through your phone and see if you can hear my dulcet tones.
Cool.
I don't know when you join the call.
This channel, I do not.
Test. Can you see test channel?
No, I can see channel.
I will add you to test channel then, I suppose. Oh, that's a lot of lag. Half an hour. I want to be behind. Hates me, doesn't it? So we should now be able to see the test string.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll finish it. Yes.
So then you can see yourself and you can hear me. How's the quality of the microphone? I am speaking now in a regular tone of voice. Can you hear all the words that I'm saying? I know I'm speaking a bit too fast, but at this point you can't understand it.
Yeah, I can hear you. Self through as well.
Okay, so we can also hear from the front. Perfect.
Oh, that's nice.
So then,
You sort of camera like a little bit to the left. Every time the camera cuts out, it just goes to make sure that you're looking really, really sad.
that's because I have two cameras. I'm trying to, right. Not the time, YouTube. Is there any way for me to just... Fuck. So the problem is now, all the screen is just Matthew Sullivan, like just MS, because why would it show my own camera?
Yes.
Fuck me.
Of course. Right.
And then we click on Sam J.
You can set it up actually so that one person's like the call leader and no one else can like have a webcam and do
I'll check that.
because that's what lecturers do, right? That's what I'm finding. It's like conflict. We just talk about middle-aged women with the screens on. We're trying to be one of these like soft teams half as old as other trainers. So I'm going to shout to them while lectures today. Like, there's 50 people with their hands up online that need help.
Okay. It's supposed to be how the hell is that now that I'm on? So we know that at the very least you can see me, you can see the room,
Yeah.
and you can hear the room.
Yes.
So the Teams is going to work.
Yes. Seeing here other people, the audience participation thing is not something that I think we
Can manage this week.
yeah, I feel like that's something why people are working, unfortunately.
Although,
Like, we need to ask like private members' business and president questions.
so I think what we might try to do is we could just have a phone at the front or around the front, just get a laptop. Have that up at the front and have a separate laptop that's connected to the Teams call, so that people can like see. So like, so that you can look and see. Okay, I'm trying to think of names. Somebody's needs to be in right now. I can't. Matthew Bradley, you've got your hand up. Do you have a question? No, you don't. You just touch your hand.
Perspective from someone with Facebook Live, what will I look like?
Currently it won't. But I'm working on that with a heart rate approaching that of a mouse on LSD. Otherwise,
So worst case scenario, for Facebook Live, we could just show a capture of your screen with Microsoft Teams maximized.
yes,
Okay.
we will not really have the room in it.
That's, we don't just get with the rear problem with the team. So in private members business, if you think about the perspective of a person on Teams, they will see in big, they'll see the camera in the room.
Yeah, we will have to tell people at the start of this meeting, do not turn your cameras on, otherwise you'll make this viewing experience significantly worse for everyone else. Okay.
Right, so if I have my laptop there, do I put the camera on or not?
No. Because the way that this is now, like if there's only the one camera on, that'll be everything. The way that like presenting like PowerPoints and all work, like I think Teams just kind of assumes, well, it's a PowerPoint, everyone wants something that matters.
Right, so, we'll catch, right, so announcements, president's questions, prime minister's business, and then minutes.
Announcements, then minutes, and then private members business announcements. We might have to call out private members business because I don't think we can do it in such a way that some people in the room will have a bad experience, or people in Teams have a bad experience, or people facing private have a bad experience. I don't think we can get those to line up properly. But president's questions, I think we can do if we have people submit their questions on Teams and you read them through your phone.
On the laptop, it is a front.
Yes.
So we guys can get them on video if they ask you their prime minister's business.
So you would see them on video. No one else in this room would, right? If they're on your laptop.
Right, yeah. You know, everyone else on the team will also for a small loss, you know. I mean, would you be able to hear their audio through there as well?
I'm going to mute this because that feedback between this is going to be.
So if you need that,
Well,
could I have the audio on there? So it's almost like if I'm at president's question, I can see them on here from that feedback too much into the microphone from there.
Oh, from there it should be fine.
Okay, well, we'll try that.
If it is actually from there as well, then there's a.
Also, then private members business would happen because I can see them and everyone else can hear them.
Yes. I think.
Fingers crossed. If you get these tits off, we can just say, we're not doing
We
it.
might end up with a shitty experience people Facebook Live, but
Fuck them.
yeah, worst case scenario, we have a shitty experience, and it's kind of, hey, sorry, we'll try and improve it for next week.
That wasn't my fault.
Right. Good. So no one can see it.
Okay,
You
so-
are going to warn us when people can hear it.
So the QED Wi-Fi decided to shit itself. Time to go to the bit that I'm not technically allowed to do, but they can't stop me.
worst case scenario, doesn't work this week, it's fine, we'll try again next week. And it turns out that it's unfeasible.
I apologise for fucking this up slightly, but Dragon's there's a bit of a bitch.
Public engagement came out to me today, one more meeting, so all days that you should be in this meeting with public engagement. We guys that wants to be in it, public engagement. About rooms, he was like, well, we tried on our side, ask Alice, message Alice again, and just be like, look, is there anything on campus we can have?
We have, and Alice has told us that basically room bookings are right now coronavirus. The canopy is open for bookings, yes. We haven't actually tried to book that yet. That's probably, yeah, that's a good show. I was concerned initially we might not be able to get it consistently, but I don't think many societies are even going to try and book it at the same time. So
The terrific is I checked bookings. The terrific is the only thing that is booked anything in the SU for the next week.
Oh yeah, I saw that. And also, the other thing with Canopy is it's only going to be there until I think end of November. But maybe they'll extend that, yeah. And if they don't, well then that police advice to come.
Hopefully that lecture bits and stuff can be knocked up. I didn't see why you can't look at lecture dates and now see it
Could you guys speak up just so I can see if you're recording?
Yeah, I'm talking right now. Everything I'm saying is probably being recorded by this. I'm talking to the test sentences. I don't really think of anything else to say, so I'm just going to keep rambling on. And that's great. That's people are actually quite a nice shit once. You know how the blinds things in the wall to open
God, I hate this fucking thing.
She said me to keep talking.
I know it's recording my voice, but it's not like that whenever you're talking. Unless it's just my laptop being shit.
When I was on Teams meeting, I could hear my voice through my phone. It's just quieter.
So I know for a fact it's working for the Teams meeting. I know for a fact that's
Well, do people need to increase the volume of their voice when they're speaking?
Is it just incredible? What's it not?
We'll find out when it's done.
What is it not working on?
But yes, one of the recording programs is called BotMat. Don't question it.
Okay. And you're sure it's getting all you from that microphone and on your laptops and no microphone?
I will check once again, because I've set it to be the HDN one, but yeah, no, it's set it straight to the HDN.
Okay.
Well, it's recording to the HDN.
So this is the software that we're using for Teams or Facebook Live?
This is the software we're using to record the stream. Which is technically recording right now, but I'll just delete that.
All you're recording, or we also do video recording?
Have a guess.
Because if we're live streaming, won't that record video automatically?
If it live streams properly, it will record it automatically. But when it comes to uploading things to archive.org and all the other things that I have to do, only audio.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
I'm just checking that this is what's
It's not.
Yeah, that's the Dragon's Den store. I can get in, you go. If you want like a D&D box, I can show it to you.
Lots of chocolates.
Actually, yes. Someone make a nice literary based thing.
As I have just said, no chocolate. That's why I was looking for chalk. Sex or life for me tonight because my mother said she's not sure.
She'll be enjoying on Teams and ask a question.
Well, she has that right. I can't stop that.
stream meeting. Shut up, phone. Why was the no going down internet? As soon as connecting.
It's permanently closed. Or if it's closed, right? You can just close that.
We never used this small amount.
Yes, we used it before we got this big father haircut. One of these is stolen from someone. I don't know which one. Right.
Aren't you walking?
But that's like years ago thing. We got it as a gift.
Yes, and probably still more base.
The official name is Tartaro. We don't have power for instead of the world serve beer again. You have to say the whole thing.
Okay, I'm just gonna just log that again.
And it's really falling apart.
Yeah.
Used to hide with that. You know, when the president's not holding, it's like, it's something that you say here, like,
I don't know, it's going to be used. It's
okay. There's not really anyone to prevent her from being ordered. Use it for power.
I'm not debating as to whether so, if this works at all at this fucking stage, I can either just hope that the laptop that's over there that's producing the voices from Teams will be picked up with this,
Yeah.
or I can pick up the audio on my laptop itself. That one's happening anyway, but it might be so quiet that it just isn't heard.
Exactly, I'm quite loud. My laptop is
Great.
Excellent.
Let's test that. So, you know how large your laptop goes? I'll turn my phone's volume up, and when you say it's loud enough,
slightly below.
then we'll see what it's picked up. So,
We'll do the...
oh god, that would be my voice. Oh no, I'll actually deliver it. Because
we'll do it on the Teams meeting, so someone else from the Teams meeting. Oh, there's a laptop. Someone needs to be on the TV. Just so I can be heard. It's really hard to tell with this bullshit because God, this hates me.
So if you get the audio from your laptop then?
Well, do you need to tell me how loud my laptop is?
I think we probably do that.
Join the Teams meeting, Matthew.
Probably best have the laptops and make it somewhere here or there, and then the speakers can hear. It's here on the laptop or something. How do we even drive this thing?
Oh God, he has a Mac. Oh, you're dead to me. Yes, there is.
That's the standard for professional software, you know, that makes sense.
That explains a lot.
Yeah, but a Mac is basically Linux, it's still Linux.
Okay, so, Teams. Alright, so yeah, you go to the Teams.
So we join the Teams.
Have your laptop muted. Well, Jay, do you need to know how loud my laptop is?
We're about to find out to see if this works.
So do you want me to play something on my laptop?
No, what we're going to do is I'm going to... You join the Teams meeting.
Okay.
Yes?
No. Not yet.
There's a section on the page about Linux.
But also...
Using the council.
Yeah, also council chat.
Teams page.
And hopefully you have that right thing where the Mac picks up the audio and it feeds back to itself. So that's that whole thing.
That's what we're going to find out with this.
How do I play on code? So, okay. Right, Jay, so we're on Teams where I put that code that you gave me.
the image in, by the
So
way.
do I click me now?
No. You've joined the team.
Yes.
Matthew Lee, and you're now on that team. You will note that I have started a meeting.
Yes.
Join that.
Right. How many people we probably got? I'll say you want me to just have nothing and then camera shit my mind.
There's going to be reverb. Right, if I'm just speaking, so they're going to have reverb from that anyway.
What?
So, I'm speaking now, yeah?
Yeah.
Turn that up a bit. Yeah, we can't fucking do that. Okay, I'm speaking now. Can you hear yourself on the mic?
Everyone should.
Hello!
Yeah.
Is there any echo on that? No?
A little. But you can't put the speaker for be able to hear that. What we do is, if someone's asking about Vin's business, can you turn off the mic or put the mic so there's a reverb through?
At that point then we will not be recording anything. I don't think constitutionally I can do that.
We'd be recording.
We can record the Teams meeting.
Oh, I actually
Now's not the fucking time.
No, but otherwise, when the person is speaking on Teams, surely you're recording the audio that comes from your laptop.
I can, yes. But the thing is about recording the stuff on the laptop is the laptop doesn't record. If we do desktop audio, it's not recording what's coming through this mic.
No, what I'm on about is if they TV guys, I think that's not true. If someone is asking private members business, they're speaking and presumably the thing will be recording that. And then we don't need to care about what's happening.
How I set up the thing that records the podcast version of these things that I have to upload to archive.org and all that is only recording through this microphone.
So you won't be able to hear anyone that's speaking on
If I mute the microphone now.
So the thing that causes the reverb is that someone in this room speaks, it's picked up through that microphone, comes out through that speaker, which then feeds back. Okay, can you use specific speakers on Teams for yourself? Can you, for example, on that laptop, mute that recording, but still be able to hear other people? Because I was picturing other chat apps, like Teams has it.
Okay, right. So
I could mute. No.
I mean, can Matt mute?
you can not been on this.
Oh yeah, you could mute this. You can mute this mic.
Yeah, you for everyone, or only for himself. The only purpose of this is so that the speakers can hear someone's private business.
Yes, well, I think I can do that though, but I think you have to maybe like an admin or something. So mute participant.
Try it. And I'll see if I can mute it on my end. Yeah, we need to check that.
If I mute it on my end, then that doesn't work.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, no admin privileges, so I shouldn't be able to mute you for everyone else.
Yes, but that's important.
However, I've been muted on this, so
Okay.
that does not work. So if we have someone being a trolley cunt, then we'll kind of scroll over.
Yes.
The only other alternative would be for everyone to be on the Teams on the phone with headphones and then hear the person's private business. That would mean that everyone have to have a headphone. Which might not be good. It seems like such.
Could we not? Whilst people are still private, this is still being on there.
Any solution which includes one of us something to mind with the use of the microphone design, probably is going to be very good.
And also just like the fact that when you turn a mic on and off, sometimes it makes a horrific screeching noise.
Really, well, could I not potentially off this laptop while someone's asking private notes business will be you, and then only you after they stop speaking?
The thing is, I think theoretically you could, but like I don't trust myself to do that, so frankly I don't trust you to do it.
You know, all I have to do is private members business, I'm the one stood at the top here. So if POIs are gone, they're not happening, because unless they're in the room. So, for example, right, unmute me.
What the fuck are the speakers?
So, I unmute you during
In fact, Albert Einstein didn't see a problem with believing some sort of supernatural being. However, he himself did not believe that should be a personal friendly being. But the problem is fanaticism, which is capable of permeating any ideology, whether that be a political or social one. But hey, let's assume religion is to blame. What if we could form a more humanist and secular society which dispenses with the idea of a transcendent supernatural being who controls everything? Well, we have various attempts made within the 20th century. One such example which referred to religion as the opium of the masses was communism and Stalin, which massively advocated atheism and thought of religion as being a weak man's game, and as a much more sober approach. But unfortunately, as most of us know, new totalitarian regimes replaced the opium, resulting in the gulags of Stalin's Russia, the killing fields of Pol Pot in Cambodia. But of course, we mustn't forget fanatical fascism of the Nazis. I know I'm stealing Mark Gilmore's point here, but sure. Hitler also despised religion and actively ensured the public burning of all religious texts and persecution of any faith which he believed undermined his authority. Ultimately, and thankfully, these experiments did not last. But religion has survived. They have learned to adapt, since many of religious thought were abstract concepts. You think for so many years in terms of different languages and how they've been changed. How do we know that we know the exact essence of certain scriptures? But I'm telling you that the most important thing is the core principles of compassion, love, and kindness for your fellow man, which the opposition will argue, oh, well, there's plenty of moral people out there who aren't necessarily religious. That's true, but that itself does not presume that religion in itself is an unadulterated poison. There's plenty of good things that have come from religion. Gandhi, despite himself being a Hindu and despising Christianity, found that towards the end, whenever he decided to come out of non-violence to try and generate some sort of peace, he even said he was inspired by the acts of Jesus Christ, showing that religious people can appreciate all other morals, and not just religious people, but non-religious as well, to bring peace upon earth. Another person I may refer to is Nelson Mandela. Now, Mandela did keep quite private with regards to what specific religion he believed in, what spirit that he had. But from his writings and his experience for 27 years on Robben Island, previously having violently attacked police stations under being part of a communist front, he said,
point of information for the chat. You make it sound like there is a binary choice between good religion and the bad communist atheism of Stalin et al. Is this not a false dichotomy? Oh, by Stalin.
I'm not saying that there is a binary or knowing what's good from bad. However, that in itself doesn't bring down the idea that religion isn't a force for good, whether or not it's difficult and the lines may seem blurred. I'll just end on this, just a point made by Nelson Mandela. Christian faith, along with community of Muslims, Hindus, and members of the Jewish faith, helped him to forgive the people that brought his community so much harm. This allowed him to emerge out of prison after 27 years and not want to carry on previous violent protests. but to debate and bring the end of apartheid through peaceful means. Mandela emphasised this by saying, as I walked out the door toward the gate that would lead to my freedom, I knew if I did not leave my bitterness and hatred behind, I'd still be in prison. So, let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. Religion does something in it that is worthwhile keeping. Thank you. I'd also just like to mention that that was actually on his maiden speech, so a little round of applause. So now it comes to me to invite the first speaker for the opposition, Olkin Versparren. Sorry for that horrible THB thing that actually does kind of help. Right, okay. Thank you, members of the House. It's absolutely great to be back again. Like all over said, that the society's on again after 6 absolutely horrendous months, I'm sure we can all agree. I actually want to offer one piece of rebuttal to something Oliver said. He brought up John Lennon's Imagine and did not acknowledge that that's an absolute banger of a song during the speech, and I think he should apologise to the House for not doing so. But anyway, I want to get on to the main point of my speech, is that we're arguing today, is religion a force for good? We of the opposition, no surprise here, very, very strongly believe that religion is not a force for good, and overall is a force for bad in the world. Now, the proper making the claim that religion intends to do good, and if you read most major religious works, the message is one of positivity, and I'm not going to lie, I read the 10 Commandments before I went into them, and I read that I shall not adulterate, I shall not steal, and I shall not murder, and I thought, getting lost pretty good, I agree with what I'm reading there, whenever I do it. However, the actuality of the matter is, sorry, not just pathetic, but I'm actually going to chance this to say that if you read most major ideologies of any work, of any religion, of any doctrine, if you sit down and read Karl Marx's manifesto, and no one came up earlier, you're not going to see the bit in it where it's going to say, by the way, go to Siberia and make a beeline and slaughter 20 million people. Because as a general rule, the works that go and endorse these manifestos and these ideas of living are not going to go and put in these negative things, and they're going to be essentially a PR stunt to make you endorse it. And that's what will happen with any major work. So I think this idea that just because there's key tenets of each religion happen to put down some fairly decent wishy-washy ideas that people like doesn't mean that religion in itself is a force for good. It's simply a couple of decent pamphlets. Yes,
So the difference between this kind of abstract nature is like a constitution, right? And it's the idea that the means justify the end, or the end justifies the means, rather. Religion specifically says that the ends do not justify the means, and lays out the means entirely, so that's the main difference there.
I think you're a wee bit there. I'm not like the one saying that says that there. When actually, we can see countless times in history that religion has not thought that the means, the ends can't justify the means. Religion has constantly made accommodations and the like. I mean, the Catholic Church frequently in the 15th and 16th century allowed for claims of divorce, despite that being directly against what it believed in, because they just called it an annulment, because it's convenient for their ideology and allowed them to get past it. So to say that this is like some sort of idea that we're skirting around the issue is just not true. But one point that I think we heard an awful lot from proposition and expecting to come up an awful lot more is that in the name of religion is very different from actual religion itself. So people do horrible things and say that this is in the name of religion. And it's a commonly used phrase. I have priests, vicars, those guys who scream at you in Royal Avenue always say that sort of stuff to me, that things in the name of religion is not actually related to religion. I just thought whenever I heard that, it's so simple, it's just people doing bad things, but it doesn't mean that religion itself is bad. And there's just one tiny problem of that conjecture. It's parabolics. People who say it isn't are fooling themselves and don't have sufficient historical knowledge to justify what we're saying. Whenever we were down discussing a bit earlier, we came off the top of our heads of countless examples of people doing bad things for religious reasons. In the 18th century, if you went to Salem, there was a bit of a witchcraft problem. and not because of actual witches, but because of misogyny and religious religious puritanical views which religion was promoting at that time. That was a directly religious problem. 17th century Ireland and England, Cromwellian wars, James I, James II, Charles I, Charles II, these wars were directly linked to religious issues. We, our modern day secular world, think what people just did is in the name of religion doesn't mean it's actually a religious problem, but we don't understand that historically, and still to this day, if you go to the modern day Middle East, there are still many conflicts occurring because of religious issues.
Point of information.
Yes.
From Shane in the chat, whether you're a believer or not, you have to understand that religion has influenced, to some extent, established law all around the world. Would the opposition propose living in a lawless society?
That's got nothing to do with what we're talking about, Shane. But we would not endorse living in a lawless society. Religion might have had some influence on law over the history of the world too. However, if you go and do any basic social contract reading through Kant, Hegel and the like, you'll find that there's natural law and countless other laws that evolve over time through simple human understanding. So to say that that's all down to religion is an inherent fallacy. Anyway, in the modern world, many people look at religion and kind of say that things are done in the name of religion, but it doesn't actually mean that it was religion. And they'll say that religion overall uplifts all society. And this is something I hear a lot, is that religion makes us better. It makes us act more. So there's this kind of idea of this sort of heaven thing, and then there's this sort of where all good people go, and then there's this sort of idea where all the bad people go, which is called hell. And can you really say that religion itself is inherently good whenever its pretty much core tenet is that don't do bad things or you'll end up in the bad place, do good things so you'll end up in the good place. It's not actually about you yourself being a moral, good individual. The idea behind religion is to try and frighten you in there with the correct social order, and that in itself isn't good. That's just social control. And let's say if there isn't actually a heaven at the end of all this here, do you mean to tell me that you've went and said, like, I'm going to be humble all my life? I mean, one of the Beatitudes is, blessed be the meek and humble, for they will be rewarded in the kingdom of heaven. Well, there is no kingdom of heaven. I'm sorry, you've just took the short end of the stick all your life, not tried to achieve, not tried to advance yourself, simply because of a social contract which kept you in your place. People take the short end of the stick all their life because of what religion has endorsed in there. And it stops people from reaching their full potential. I want to just conclude here by saying the onus of the proof is not on us to prove that religion is a force for evil, but it is for the proposition to prove beyond all reasonable doubt that religion is a force for good. And I'm sorry, but he simply cannot prove that it is a force for good. It's impossible. You can list off a few good deeds, and well done, I'm sure there have been a couple of decent things done in history for religion, but it's a bit like saying, oh, Hitler was a vegetarian, he wasn't all bad. Like, it doesn't add up overall. Religion itself is deeply flawed and has caused a lot of problems for our society. So no, religion can't be proven to be good. At best, it can be proven to be morally correct. So I strongly urge people to vote with the opposition and not believe that religion is a force for good in our modern day world. Thank you.
For that speech. So it now turns to the second speaker for the proposition, Mr. Umar Zia.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, and may I just thank all the lovely people who have tuned in to listen to this debate. Ladies and gentlemen, the proposition is present this evening to make a case in defense of one of the most central pillars of morality and civilization, central and universal, if I may add. Throughout every single successful civilization in the world, whether if not in practice, then deeply ingrained in culture, there exists a religious element. Now, it inevitably falls on us to ask why. Why is it that in every single successful society and civilized society, why does religion exist if it is such a evil force as the first speaker for the opposition said? Well, in my opinion, it seems to me that these societies have recognized that there is a strong capacity in human nature to act good, and there is a strong capacity in human nature to do evil. And by far the most effective and powerful way to galvanize that capacity for good and work against that capacity for evil has been, if not a set in stone, a well-defined set of moral codes. And that set of moral codes has been most commonly represented throughout the world by religion and indeed the idea of God. And why that is the case, in order to find out why that is the case, we need to look at the actual foundations of these religions. The foundation so today I'll look at the foundation of two of the most main religions, Christianity and Islam. Christianity was founded in an immensely unjust and immensely cruel, unequal society in Roman Palestine or Israel. I'm not going to get into that. During Caesar's rule in Palestine, the execution of the Caesar's opponents was carried out indeed, as we all know, through the crucifixion, torture, and oppression was just widespread. It was the rule of the day. When Christ spoke, it was a very dangerous, it wasn't a very easy thing for him to say, that it is easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. It wasn't easy to dismiss the sacredness of the image of Caesar on the back of the Roman coin. It wasn't easy to stand up to unchecked, brutal human quality. And that is the central premise of Christianity. Standing up, it is not, as the first speaker may have suggested, it is not, its foundations are built in emancipation and standing up for authority.
Can that just be argued that you're taking the figure of Jesus and the actual historical Jesus himself is somewhat different from the Gospels? We can only prove that 70% of what was said in the Gospels is probably said in real life. That in actuality, Jesus himself might just be a really decent guy, but religion itself is still an inherently flawed system.
Well, in my opinion, religion itself is not. Religion itself is not an inherently flawed system. And I'll move on to why people have been motivated apparently in the name of religion to commit heinous acts of atrocity. And with respect to Islam was founded by Muhammad in a very lawless and an equally unjust and cruel society in ancient Arabia, where the killing of children was just considered of young baby girls was considered fine, where there was immense inequality between men and women. Muhammad came into these societies as a lawgiver, as someone who created a system of justice for the first time in that part of the world, as recognized by the United States Supreme Court when they recognized Muhammad as one of the greatest lawgivers in history. Now we move on to the emphasis of the list of, well, not the emphasis, the list of cruel atrocities committed by people of faith and by religious actors. But although it may seem at first this is an act of religion, when you look more closely, you will find inevitably, invariably, in all of these cases, a political motivation. The first speaker refers to Cromwell and Charles I. Why else would they use brutality and oppression if not to cement their political position as rulers of these islands?
You're right, on the table to appreciate it. This is from Shagginess, does the prompt agree with me that religion is not a very flawed system as many thousands of years?
Yes, I absolutely agree with that. It's not an inherently flawed system, although those who have followed religion as I noted at the beginning of the speech, are humans, and humans are inherently flawed with a capacity for evil. And the first speaker also mentioned the horrible atrocities that currently take place in the Middle East. Again, when you look more closely, these atrocities are quite obviously motivated by political aims. You look at the horrific attack on the World Trade Center and the Twin Towers on September 11th. Hardly a week goes by where someone doesn't attribute it to Islam, when in fact those perpetrators themselves made it clear that their motivations were entirely political against the United States. And indeed, if we look at Northern Ireland, not a week goes by where someone does not attribute the troubles, does not call the troubles a religious conflict. How on earth is it a religious conflict? It was obviously a conflict between hardline Republicans and hardline loyalists who were fighting a sectarian conflict over political divide. And indeed, let me just touch on very briefly the couple of things, as the first speaker pointed out, that religion has done, which is good. And indeed, he must be well aware that the Catholic Church is among the largest charitable organisation in the world. I could point to Islamic Relief, the Red Cross, and the numerous religious charities that exist throughout the world. But indeed, my time has run out. Thank you very much.
Well done on that speech. Thank you, Umar. So now we move to the second speaker for the opposition, which is Callum Conley-Galway.
Hello everyone, I'd like to say it's great to be back after a long 6 months. I'd like to open up my speech with a quick thought experiment. There's been a lot of talk today about what religion's done in the past. That's mostly been hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago. I'd like to consider for a moment, what has religion used to justify, what good has religion used to justify in the recent years, in modern times? I struggle to find anything really. And I can think of plenty of terrible things been used to justify, not just in the modern day, but in the past, as also mentioned, sandwich trials and various other things. And what does religion actually provide us? A sense of morality? We can get this secularly. We don't need some pie in the sky, supreme being to dictate morality to us. We can discover by ourselves. It's not complicated doing good. And religion has been used to justify terrible things in the past. Wars, brutal oppression of people, especially minorities. In our lifetime, we have seen the biggest opposition to rights to the LGBT community come from religious people. Yes.
On that point, you had very interesting wording there. You mentioned